I'm live. Yes, we are. We're live, and I'm never certain until the chat actually starts to roll in. But if we've done everything right, we are actually live. And when I say we, I am here at my sister and my mother's house. This does not look like my typical scenery scene.
You're live.
I see that we're live. Chats are coming through. Hi, everyone. After the disaster last week of a terrible internet connection, we decided we'd play it safe and go to my sister's. So I'm on my sister's Wi Fi. I'm sitting in my sister's living room, and my mom does not want to be on live.
Because I look like death warmed over.
She says she looks like death warmed over, but that's not in the least bit true. She looks great. She looks really, really good. But I am here with my sister, and she has agreed to at least wave and say hi. So we'll
Are
do
we
that.
ready?
Hello,
Wait till
hi.
wait till it gets over there.
Hello, hi. Happy to be here. Happy to see you.
So there's proof. Unless I've hired actors and a house, there's proof. I'm actually at my sister's house in Medford, Oregon. And I'll give out the address now, and you're all welcome to come by.
No,
No, she says no, no, no. She doesn't want me to give out the address, so I won't do that. And you're probably not all that welcome to come by, so please don't. But I'm at my sister's house. Hopefully, you have a good picture today, and like yesterday's picture. And my assistant Casey is here watching the chat, and my have friends who are being moderators. I'll mention Jim, Jim in Denver, and I'll mention his website. And you should all be checking out his website. His website, I have to look at it. Cheap solar and off-grid living, and there's a space after and. Cheap solar and space off-grid living. So check out his website. Thank you, Jim. I'm sure you're moderating out there and zapping the trolls as they come through. So who's on the chat? Casey, anyone we should say hi to?
Terry Brown, Grateful Road, Jody Hotch, Nana Brinnab.
So all of you, that was way too fast. My brain was doesn't move anywhere near that fast anymore. But to all of you who are on chat and live and saying hi to you. I don't have a whole lot to talk about today. I generally don't. I don't want to do a teaching because I can just do a video teaching. I want this to be as interactive as we can. So we're doing questions. That's what I try to do on all these. And I see Casey is writing out names and questions. So if you have a question, I'd be glad to answer it to the best of my ability. A couple announcements I want to make. Last on Wednesday, I put up Dee's update on Dee. Dee is the lady who lived in a car on 800 a month. By far my most popular video. She's probably going to turn 1.5 million views this week, and that's pretty amazing. And I did an update, and I'm a big believer in just following the universe and allowing the universe to dictate when and how things happen. So at the last RTR stands for Rubber Tramp Rendezvous, a very large gathering I host in the Arizona desert. At the last RTR, I did a new updated video. She's now in a cargo trailer. She's pulling with her car. Well, and I've just been waiting for the right time, and I never felt like it was the right time to publish her video, and I didn't know what I was waiting for. I was waiting for the right time, and so I had decided that this weekend would be the right time, and I don't know why I decided that. Well, on Friday, it was supposed to go published live Friday. I publish an interview every Friday, if you haven't noticed that pattern, and a teaching video every Wednesday. And so on Thursday, I got an email from Dee, and she said she was in real need of help. And she is having surgery. She had problems with grave disease, which created problems with her thyroid. And I believe the thyroid has caused these problems with her eyes. She needs 6 surgeries. And so, she can't afford all that. The big thing is she has to go drive quite a bit to get to the surgeries. So she has ancillary costs beyond the cost of surgery, which I'm assuming would probably be covered by Medicare or Medicaid. Uh, and I just thought, what perfect timing! I'm planning on post this now, and it's the perfect time for her because she needs help. So all of that to say that if you learn to listen and hear and be patient and listen quietly and not have to have a plan and a dictated order to your life, sometimes things just work perfectly, and this did, because I was getting it ready to go live anyway, publish it this weekend, and now it's up. And so please, boy, I'm talking a lot, aren't I? I'm feeling like I'm talking way too much. Um, if you haven't gone and seen that video, please go watch it. And if you would spread the word on your social media to help Dee, and she's on a GoFundMe account, um, and I can't remember the name. It's in the description. Go to the description. There's a live link to her GoFundMe account on the description. And if you would just tell everyone out there, your friends, your social media, your emails, connections, to go and watch that video and help Dee. She's doing incredibly well. And that's the big thing I want to tell you. What an amazing group of people. When I looked, I think it had been less than 2 days and she'd raised $5,000. And I think that covers her immediate need. But if we could buy Dee a van. Now, she is living in a cargo trailer, but she's towing it with her car. And her car has over 200,000 miles, and it's way too much weight for that car. Yes, it can physically tow it. But she lives in the desert in the winter, as do all of us in the Arizona desert. And she's got to tow that thing into the mountains. And that car is just too old and underpowered to tow it into the mountains. So she is enduring the heat of the Arizona desert in the summer. We need to get her to be able to tow that into the mountains and save the money. And she needs a van. So if we could continue to contribute on GoFundMe till she gets enough to buy her a van, that is just so ideal. And I don't think anyone questions that Dee really deserves our help. She's done everything she can, and she just needs some help. And there's just nothing wrong with helping humans. There's something really wrong with the idea, unless you really deserve it, I won't help you. I'll just let you suffer unless you meet my qualifications. And that just seems like a really wrong way to live and think to me. At any rate, thank you all so much for helping Dee. Go watch that video, spread the word, contribute if you can. If we all gave $1, she'll have plenty of money. There's plenty of us to do that. If you gave $1, Dee will be just fine. And so no one, a few that can should give more, but if you can't, give $1, and that's all that counts. It's really the intention, and the intention of giving $1 is so wonderful. Okay, I have questions. I'll stop on all that. Jesse Lemus, I hope that's right. Do you prefer school buses or RVs? Jesse, you must not have been watching my videos for very long. I don't like RVs. I've never lived in an RV, and I never intend to live in an RV. I know there are a lot of you out there that an RV is what you should be in. You want the comfort, and if that works for you, yes, I think you should definitely live in an RV. It doesn't work for me, so I don't prefer either. I prefer a van, but a lot of you want the big space and the room. So I'll give you the pluses and minuses of the two. School buses are made to be industrial. They carry the most precious cargo on the planet, our children. They are tough as nails. A school bus is designed to be hit by a train, and most of the people will survive. It's designed to be rolled over, and most of the kids survive. They are unbelievably tough rigs. RVs, on the other hand, are made like crap. They're designed to go out 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks a year, and then they fall apart. So on the one hand, the school bus is cheap. You can buy a good used school bus for $4,000 or $5,000. And they're incredibly tough, and they're big, and they're designed to endure anything. And RVs are crap. They're built like crap unless you pay a lot of money for one. And if you get an old one that most of us can afford, if you buy a $5,000 RV, it's probably crap. It's probably got water leaks. It's going to have water leaks if it doesn't now. You're always going to have an emergency fund to repair the furnace, the water pump. I mean, you just expect all that stuff. So, but an RV but it comes with all the built-in comforts. I mean, you get everything. You got an apartment on wheels, and if you get a good one, man, they can last a long time and will treat you really well, and you get all the comfort. But our school buses are very tough, and you can build it just how you want, and it's really cheap to buy. School buses tend to have more problems with the engines and they're these big diesel engines that are intended to run forever. I would try to get an older school bus with the International 7.3 liter diesel. If you could get that, that's such a common engine, and one of the good automatics. If you can get a manual transmission, that's ideal, but they're not terribly common anymore. I would go with school bus if you're willing to spend the money and have the skill and the tools to convert it yourself. I would get a school bus, but if you don't, buy an RV. What's the fastest you ever drove? I don't drive very fast. I don't think I've ever hit 100 miles an hour in my life. That was Bernie B. What's the fastest you ever drove? I may have hit 90 going downhill. I'm not a fast driver. Myra and Guerra, are you in Florida? No, I'm in Medford, Oregon. My mom was in Florida, and so that's what you're thinking about, is that I was in Florida for a while. But my mom moved into with my sister. I'm at my sister's house. My mom is sitting right there, and my sister's sitting right there. We are in Medford, Oregon. Now Mom waves, although the camera's not aiming at her. You sure you don't want to be on the camera, Mom?
Oh yeah.
Well, the camera's not on you. We'll turn the camera on you. Now the camera's going to be on. There's my mom. And she's doing really well. She's having a few days of not feeling so well, but I guess that kind of happens when you're 84.
Everybody pray for me.
Oh, there you go. Mom says everybody pray for her, and that is a very good idea. Yes. So Mom is here. I'm at my mom's house and my sister's house. And so no, I'm not in Florida. My mom moved into my sister in Medford, Oregon.
And we love our son.
And Mom says she loves me, and I don't know why, but she does. And whatever good things you think are good about me, they came from my mom. I really owe everything to my mom. She's really amazing. Are you using a tripod? Yes. Now we're set up in the house. Casey is here. We're on a tripod. I'm not using the gimbal, and the gimbal gave me problems yesterday. Last Sunday was just a disaster. The picture was terrible.
And we love Casey.
And Mom says they all love Casey as well. But you know what happens when you got a terrible picture? What is it like when you have a terrible picture but you have decent sound? It's radio. So it's a podcast. So that's what I think of it. Even if you got a terrible picture, it's no big deal. You just listen to it. I'm nothing to look at. I mean, let's be famous. Let's be honest about that. I'm nothing to look at. So if you can hear me, that's all that counts. Clay, Montana. Have you thought about property near Lapine, Oregon? I don't know where Lapine is. What I started looking for property, I am looking for property. I'd like to buy a piece of land. I'd like to buy at least 10 acres that we could use as a tribal gathering place. You're running then into zoning laws and with being remote and having internet. But I have actually found that I can buy 10 acres in Oregon for $15,000. And the most of it tended to be off level on the side of a mountain. That's why it was so cheap. But I have seen some land that would be worth buying for $10,000 to $20,000, and I'm on Patreon now, and that's the primary reason I'm on Patreon, is to be able to afford to buy a piece of land for the community to use. That also runs into all kinds of problems with liability and squatters, and I'm going to have to go to a lawyer and get all of that straightened out, and so it's going to be an expensive proposition, but it is my goal. I'm not familiar with Lapine, Oregon, so Clay, Montana, if you would email me, you can get my email address off of my website, cheaprvliving.com. If you scroll down, my email is right there. I don't really want to give it out over the YouTube channel, but it's right there. I'm not hiding my email. You can all email me. And if you would explain, if some of you would be out there looking for land for me to buy, that would be a wonderful thing too. I have found land that can be found pretty cheap here in Oregon. It's remote, but it's pretty. I found a lot of land with big trees on it. So yeah, that would be great if you would all look for me, and we'll look for land together. Joe Fraley. I'm not sure which one it is. Glad you wrote in. How did you get the scar on your right arm? I wish I could tell you it was I was in a big bar fight and I was defending the honor of a damsel in distress from a bunch of bikers, but it was just a plain Jane motorcycle accident, entirely my fault. Went around a corner too hot and hit. It was up in the Sierras, and in the Sierras, all the roads they try to keep open have these huge poles, like 8 or 10 foot poles on the side of the road. And some of the roads in the Sierras are extremely narrow. And this pole was actually bent in. I went back and looked, and it is actually bent in, and you can see where I hit it and bent it back out. But and this pole was actually kind of over the road and like within 6 inches of the white line on the outside of the road. And I went around the corner a little too hot, and it was actually in the road, and I hit it, my handlebar hit it, and just smashed my whole arm. I've lost about 30% use of the arm. That's this scar. I've got another scar here. I got all kinds of scars on my elbows. 4 surgeries. It was an ordeal. It really messed up that year. That whole motorcycle accident was a real ordeal for me. So nothing very mundane. A motorcycle accident that was my fault. No big story, I'm afraid, to tell about it. Sandra Grissom, I think. Sandra, I'm glad you wrote in. What's your favorite destination? You know, I get that question a lot. I can't say. Everywhere I go, I find wonderful places and things and people.
Your mom's home.
My mom's home. Mom says it's her home, and she is so right. Mom's feeling better. This is good for you. You sure you don't want to be on with me?
No.
No?
I was just on.
Okay, all right. So you're on again, it looks like. Yeah, after my mom's house, my sister's house, I love Wyoming. I love Colorado and Utah. I love going to the Arizona desert. It's a funny thing about the desert. Every fall, when I'm headed back to the desert, when the mountains get too cold, I love going back to the desert. My heart sings to be back in the desert. And then every spring, I'm sick of the desert, and I can't wait to get back into the mountains. And you know what? How lucky I am to have a life that when I get tired of one place, I just go to another. And when I get tired of that place, I just go back to another. And that's the kind of life I'm offering you. You can have that life. You can live in a van, live cheap, and that's a life you can have too. Casey, I know you're working hard.
Yes.
Are you enjoying being full-time?
Oh my God, it's the best thing I ever did.
It's the best thing you ever did.
Ever.
I mean, we go gorgeous places.
Yeah.
We're here in Oregon, and Oregon, it's got a lot of gorgeous places. We went up on the top of Mount Ashland last weekend, and my goodness, it was gorgeous. We had this incredible view down on Mount Shasta with this big, beautiful peak, still snow-capped, and rolling mountains and ridge lines all around us, and it was just gorgeous. It was cold and windy, and the actual clouds rolled down in on top of us, so it wasn't perfect, but man, it was gorgeous. And then we went out to over near Klamath Falls, and we stayed on a lake, and then it got real crowded. The lakes get real crowded on the weekend, which is usually why I'm not on a lake. And so we went through a little pond. We had to drive through a pond, and it was a bit of an adventure, and found a great spot where we were all alone. So, my favorite place is where I am at that moment, really, truly. I can find wonderful places everywhere I go. But if you force me, I would say the Four Corners region. If I could only go one place, it's the Four Corners region. From Moab, all of the 5 national parks of Utah, the South, anywhere in Colorado, and then Arizona. Those are my favorite places. I could live there the rest of my life very, very happily. And never see it all. Never outgrow the beauty that's there. Okay, I'll give this one back to you, Casey. Jody Hotch, Jim Greer asks, Bob, can you post a link to Dee's account? What is her website? And we have that. Dee's site, the GoFundMe is /. It's gofundme.com/6 eye surgeries due to Graves' disease. I guess I could show you that. Is this reversed? Did we fix that problem?
It's correct.
That's correct. We fixed the reverse problem. Just a little thing you have to do with the camera. This is my phone camera. So this is the address for Dee, and please go support her. And again, there are so many of us. All you got to do is give $1. If a bunch of us, if 5,000 of us would go get, she's already raised 5,000. It's stunning. It is stunning, your generosity. I'm blown away how wonderful this community is. If we all would go give another dollar, she'll be up to 10,000. That's her goal. That will meet her needs for the eye surgery, and it'll probably buy her a new van, a new used van, of course. That let's really try and go all out. Let's go over the set amount she's after. So this is her her address, and I don't want to leave this up the whole time, but I will lift it up as we go through.
Can you read these two questions first?
Oh, these two questions are first. I would like to know more about your mom. Okay, they want to know more about you.
Well, I'm beautiful.
My mom is beautiful, and they're gonna the camera's on you. You're feeling good. Do you want to be on?
Oh, okay. I'm not beautiful. I'm pleasant looking, but I have beautiful children. I have a beautiful son and a beautiful daughter, and they are wonderful children.
Well, we're here helping you when you need us, so that's something good.
Yes, and they've always helped me when I needed it.
Seems like we've needed more help from you than you've needed from us, though.
Well, that's because I'm older.
True. Yeah.
So that's the way it is.
Yeah.
But I think we're all blessed. I love you, and you love me, and what more can you ask for?
That's about all you can get out of life. If you can get that out of life, you've got everything.
Yes.
So you were born in Arkansas?
I was born in Arkansas. I lived in Arkansas the biggest part of my life.
We went to Alaska in 1961.
Yes, along with my kids.
Yeah, we went along with you.
Yes, and my kids mean everything to me. I've always been close to my kids. Always will be close to my kids. They will always be close to me because I insist.
You insist.
on it.
Yes.
How can we disobey?
Yeah. But we are a close family.
We are.
Always have been a
Yeah.
close family. Always will be. I'm in wherever I am. What state am I in?
This is Medford, Oregon.
I am in Oregon. Well, look, here's my son in Oregon. Here's my daughter in Oregon.
Right.
So we managed to stay close together.
Yes.
And I expect the same thing for every family.
I hope so. That's our wish for every family,
It is.
that they always be connected and loving each other.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
We have a question for Bob's mom.
Okay.
What 5 words would you use to describe Bob as a child?
Oh, mischievous, very mischievous.
Independent.
A good child. He was a good child. I'm running out of.
Okay.
That's enough.
That's good.
It's good enough. But I was really fantastic. That would be a word you would use. Yes. Yes.
Fantastic. I thought of that all by myself.
Yes. Astounding, maybe. Brilliant.
Well, that's a getting.
We're getting a little far.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think well, I will say this: he has a great dog.
Yes, I've always had good dogs. Okay, and so we lived in Alaska from 61. And when did you retire and leave Alaska? You probably don't remember. 2000? No, before then.
Before that.
We don't remember when you left Alaska.
I don't remember it either. It was way too long ago.
Yeah, 20 years. Probably 20 years.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. So
But I did retire in Alaska and moved back to,
you were in Bentonville for a while, Arkansas,
yeah,
the home of Walmart, and you bought a house there and met the guy who you would be living with for the next 20 years, and then the two of you moved to Florida.
yes,
And I used to go and see you all the time in Florida.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yes. We've always been a very close family, and that's the truth.
Yes.
Always have been a very close family.
Right. Okay, so let's just continue then. What is the age of the oldest nomad you know? I personally know a nomad, 86 years old, but I just was told about a guy who is 90 and still on the road, and I'd like to interview him, but I don't think that's going to happen because he's in a different part of the country. So 86 is the oldest nomad that I know of, and I do know of a guy who's 90 years old and living on wheels. Okay. Okay, so we've got a link. Let me remind you again. This is the link to Dee's GoFundMe account. I'll leave that up for a minute. And then, where will you settle down when you get old? Good question. It's a really good question. Where will you settle down when you get old? Arizona. I like Arizona. The ideal thing is to have a land in the desert and land in the mountains. But I don't. If I have to settle down, that probably won't be possible. I would like to have an underground house at about 4,000 to 6,000 feet in Arizona, and that will give me a moderate climate, summer to winter. It will still get hot and it will still get cold, but not extreme. It will get pretty hot and pretty cold, but not unbearably hot and cold. And then by being underground, that will moderate the temperatures so that it becomes reasonably pleasant year round. So I'd like to buy a cheap piece of land between 3,000 and 6,000 feet somewhere in Arizona. That's where I'd like to retire. I don't know if how often I've told you this. My plan is to buy an old school bus, dig a long trench. A non-running school bus would be fine. Just have it towed out to the lot, rent a D3 Cat, to dig out a long trench, and then cover over the nose, but leave the front windows open. So I'd have windows all the way around and everything else covered by dirt, sand, mostly in Arizona. Arizona at that elevation doesn't have a problem with water. The water doesn't run down into the soil. That's desert. But I'd probably cover it with plastic anyways, a vapor barrier, real double duty, heavy duty plastic. Put the bus up on on blocks, take the wheels off, block it. No frost heaves, no snow, frost line in Arizona at those elevations. So that's where I'd live. I'd convert a school bus. I'd put in a wood stove. I'd put solar on the roof, and that'd be my home. That's where I'd live the rest of my life. That's my plan for my old age. And then eventually I'd have to be, if I can't be that independent anymore, I'd be in an RV park. And then at some point I'll have to be in a home, and then I'll deal with that when I face it. And I won't really go into that much at all. Where will you settle down when you get old? Do you still have an Amazon link? Yes. The best thing, if you want to help support me, and I know a lot of you do, and I really appreciate that, the very best thing you can do is just simply go to my store. I have a store on Amazon. And it's amazon.com/shop, SHOP/cheap RV living. If you go there and you buy something that's in the store, I'll get a credit. It's usually around 6%, 6-7%. And it costs you nothing. That money won't come from you. You won't pay extra. And it won't cost anyone extra because that money is built in. It's every retailer has a built-in percent that they spend for the cost of advertising and customer acquisition. They're going to spend that money no matter what. I might as well get a cut. It could be me or it'll be someone else, but they're paying that money out. It won't cost anyone anymore ever. That money's built into their cost of business. And if you don't see the item you're looking for, just entering from amazon.com/shop/cheap RV living. And if you go and buy something else not listed there, I'll still get credit. I get credit for the next 24 hours for anything you buy. Okay, so yes, thank you for asking that. And you know, I love working that way because it costs you nothing, but I get supported, and you get what you need, and that just works so well. This is from CTV. What will you do if they make it illegal to sleep in your vehicle in the U.S.? First off, I don't think that's ever a possibility. No state has done that. Those are always being done at the county and city level. And there are cities that are doing that, but I don't do it on cities. I live on public land. Uh, I stay on public land. And so I don't see that happening on national. See, they're not going to do that in a national forest or on BLM land. They're just not going to. They could say you have to be in a paid campground, but I can't imagine that happening either. Now, in cities, any city at any time can make it illegal. I'll give you an example. When I lived in Anchorage, I lived in my box van for 6 years in Anchorage, Alaska. No issues ever. I think in the 6 years I lived in it, I might have been rousted by cops maybe 3 or 4 times, and that was because a local neighbor saw me and called. It was not illegal in the city of Anchorage at that time. They have since made it illegal. The last time I was in Anchorage was in 2014, and man, it was a big deal. So I had to use super stealth to park in the city so that no one noticed me. The cops didn't notice me. The neighbors didn't notice me. And I did make it work, but I don't think I could make it work long term. So in the cities, it is a distinct possibility at any time that they will say you cannot sleep in your car. There are legal issues with that. California is famous for that. The city of Los Angeles had a law overturned. They just had a poorly written law. When they wrote it better, I think it will stay legal this time. As long as you're willing to be out on public land, the national forest or BLM land, I don't believe that's going to be an issue at all. It isn't going to be for me because that's where I stay. And it will never be a national law. I don't ever believe it will be a state law. It will always be the local city or county. And you could just go to a different city unless you can't. There's some of you that can't. When I lived in Anchorage, I had to live in Anchorage. That's where my kids were, and I was not leaving Anchorage. And if you in that situation, I'm not sure what my answer is for you. I don't think it'll ever be a federal law. I don't think it'll ever be on public land. Jamie Graham, interested in van life, but have to go to my doctor's once a month. Any thoughts on how to make it work for me? Well, there are a lot of places. Are you limited to just one city? Can the doctor be anywhere? Can you move the doctor? So, in other words, if you could do it in Arizona, you can find places that are so cheap. So like Slab City. In Slab City, you can live completely free year round and then go to a doctor in the nearby towns, Brawley, California, or Palm Springs. Palm Springs is like maybe 50 to 75 miles away from Slab City. So you could have a doctor in a nearby town, go to your doctor once a month and live in Slab City. Or you could be in, so could you have your doctor, 2 doctors? Could you have a doctor in, oopsie, Cody got something. Could you have your doctor near Quartzsite in Blythe or Parker, and then move to Flagstaff area and have a doctor in Flagstaff? And then that way you can stay comfortable year round. Flagstaff's cool enough in the summer, and Blythe is cool enough, or Lake Havasu is cool enough in the winter. But you know what? You could even be in Blythe. You could even have your doctor in say you had your doctor in Blythe, California. That's the Quartzsite area. And you could stay at an LTVA. Or you could have a doctor in Yuma. That's what I would do. There are LTVAs, cost $180 for 7 months to live in an LTVA. And so you could have your doctor in Yuma, and then you could drive up to Flagstaff for the summer where it's cool, and then you could just drive back down to Yuma for your once a month doctor's visit. It'd be miserably hot for that 2 or 3 days you were there, but you can endure 2 or 3 days. You'd have to stay in a motel room. So yes, there are solutions even to that. You just have to be able to move your doctor. If your doctor can only be in one city where you are now and you can't ever move, then no, that won't work. Although you could take trips out of that city and come back, couldn't you? Go live in go stay in the national forest for 2 weeks, move to another national forest for 2 weeks, come back to your doctor's visit. Go to another national forest for 2 weeks, go to another national forest for 2 weeks, come back to your doctor for that visit. You see, so you just have to be a little more creative if you're confined by a doctor. There are doctors everywhere. They're not going to run out. If you're on Medicare or Medicaid, there are doctors everywhere that will take Medicare and Medicaid. Even if you can only go to that one doctor in that one city, there's still a solution. National forests. Move to a place where there's a lot of national forests. I would say Flagstaff, Arizona, and Yuma, Arizona are two great ones. And you're only 300 miles away from being comfortable in the summer when Yuma is miserable. Okay, so yeah, I think you can work it out. You just have to be creative. You just have to think a little bit outside the box. You're going to need a good vehicle because you're going to be doing quite a bit of driving. You know, that's 600 miles round trip to go to a doctor once a month, unless you can have two doctors, a Flagstaff doctor and then a Yuma doctor. That'd be an example of how you could do it. Okay. All right. And you got any more?
Yeah.
More questions? I'll give you those back.
Okay.
And where did your mom grow up? You grew up in Arkansas.
I did grow up in Arkansas.
So she grew up in Arkansas, then you got married and moved to Oklahoma.
Oklahoma?
When you got married, because Dad was from Oklahoma.
Yes.
So I'm an Okie. I was born in Oklahoma.
Right.
So the Southeast. I guess Oklahoma's considered Southeast. I don't know where Oklahoma's considered.
Midwest.
Midwest? Or Arkansas, I think would be considered Southeast, and then Oklahoma. Then we moved to Arizona for a while, and then we moved to Alaska. What did her parents do? My dad, and the next question is, can you speak about your dad? My dad was born in Oklahoma, as was I. I was born in Ponca City, Oklahoma, and he worked for a grocery store. He worked for Safeway grocery store all his life.
Yes.
And then when I turned 16, I started working for Safeway grocery store, and I worked in grocery stores all my life, like father, like son. You know, they used to be a good career. It was a union job. My dad went on to become a store manager. I never worked my way up into management. I wasn't management material, that's for sure. I didn't like being a manager. I was going to work my way up, and I just didn't like being a boss. You know, when I worked my way up to what's called an assistant grocery manager, and when the manager was gone, I was running the store. And the boss would come to me and say, you know what, you're using too many hours, cut the hours. So it would be my job to write the schedule and cut guys' hours. And so I would try to cut 2 hours from everybody. But it was seniority based because we were a union shop. I couldn't cut the top guys' hours. So I would cut the bottom guys by 4 hours, and the next guy up by 3 hours, and the next guy up by 2 hours. And that was my job. And my boss would yell at the store manager would yell at me because we were using too many hours. And the guys below me would yell at me because I was cutting their hours. Everybody was always mad at me. Well, I didn't enjoy that in the least little bit. I didn't want everyone being mad at me. I didn't want to have to cut these guys' hours. I didn't want the boss to say, well, you're just using too many hours. You got to cut hours. And so I didn't want to be a manager. My dad was the store manager who went around and said, you got to cut hours. And he was really, really, really good at his job, but I don't think he enjoyed his life because of it. And he died. My father died when he was 62. He retired at 60. This was a life-changing event in my life. My dad retired when he was 60. He got cancer, was dead at 62. And of course, I was probably 40 when that happened. It's probably my 30s when that happened. I said, I'm not going to live my life that way. I'm not going to work at a job I don't like, get paid really well. My dad was paid really well. He had all the toys he wanted. He could do anything he wanted, but he worked all the time. So he didn't get to do what he wanted. And his boss was to fire people. His job was to cut people's hours. And then as soon as he retired, he had cancer. He never enjoyed any of the reward of his hard work all of his life. I said, I will not do that. I will not live my life that way. The best example my dad set for me was do not live this way. And so I have not. And and the reason for this channel is because I'm trying to tell you, don't live that way. That's just not a way I think people should live. So that's the most important thing I learned from my dad. He's a good dad. I don't have any doubt about that. He was a good dad. From Shell Shanako. Boy, I'm sorry. I'm sure I slaughtered that. I really apologize. Is there moisture at 6,000 feet in case aquifers dry up in Arizona?
Aquifers.
Aquifers. No, the land I'm going to buy, I'm not even going to. Well, you had a piece of land, Casey,
Yeah.
and you had good wells. You were near Prescott, in the Prescott area within 500 mile.
Mhm.
We don't want to tell where you were, but you were close to Prescott, Arizona at probably about 5,000 or 6,000 feet.
Mhm.
And it wasn't going to be very deep to get a well. How was it?
Yeah, my neighbor's well, he's set for 300. He hit water at 120, and he has 3 gallons per minute, and he's right behind me.
So the land she had bought and is for sale. Your land is for sale. Somebody's looking to buy land in near Prescott, Arizona, within 30 miles, let's say, 50
Yeah.
miles, let's say. Casey's got half an acre.
Yeah, it's an acre and a half, and it's now listed with the Bergamini Group out of Prescott.
There's she has an acre and a half near Prescott, Arizona, at 6,000 feet,
5,000 feet.
5,000 feet, and there was water. Your neighbor hit water at 120 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So some places there's no water, and some places there is, and know that before you buy if you want to build. So that's really, really important. And Prescott's a really nice area. I really like the Prescott area. I've always really enjoyed that. In fact,
We
Dad,
lived there.
we lived there when I was 5 years old, 4 and 5 years old. We lived in Prescott. We lived in Flagstaff. That's why Arizona's kind of in my blood. And Dad had bought land in Prescott to retire to when he was 60.
Yeah.
He had his home paid for outright in Anchorage, and then he was going to retire to Prescott. So Prescott's a really nice little town. I like Prescott. Nana Brenib, I hope I'm slaughtering your names. When are you going to make your bus your home? Not until I can't live this way, and I'm hoping 10, 20 more years. I'm hoping. Yeah, that's a last resort. Although it would occur to me to try and get the bus as a YouTube video, just to do that whole thing to show you what my plans are. So that might be a possibility. I might buy the land and do that whole thing just to have a home set up. The problem is if you set that up and then walk away, vandals. People go in and vandalize it, and if you leave anything in it, they steal it. I actually have a friend who had a blog in Arizona about his travels as a van dweller. And he bought a couple acres up near Sholo, Arizona, which is about 6,000 feet, comfortable enough. It's in the mountains, in the trees. And he bought a container. He bought a 40-foot container, dropped it on his property, and moved into it, and that is now his home. So there are guys that do that, and I think that is a really good idea. I would consider doing that, something like that, just to show you the full van dwelling life, having a home base. I actually own a piece of 1 acre of land in Arizona, at about 5,500, and I've never even set foot on it. And that was my idea with it, to retire to it. I made a mistake. I didn't check the zoning close enough. The zoning is going to be a major problem, so I think that was just a mistake. And also, that's the next question. Noreen in. How about a container instead of a school bus? Yeah, containers are really good ideas. My big thing is to get it underground, to be able to get it burned out, and so that the whole north wall is underground. If I have to backfill over it, because wow, 45 minutes. How did 45 minutes go by? The big thing is to get underground when you're dealing with heat and cold, because underground maintains a steady temperature. If you get into a cave, I think they have steadies at 50, but that's a real cave, real deep cave. This would just moderate the highs and the lows. You put in your solar. The big thing is passive heating, passive solar heating, passive cooling. And the berm around you creates a lot of that passive heating and cooling, and then you can heat easily in Arizona with wood. That's not a problem. Real dry heat, you don't have moisture, and then you can supplement it with propane, but wood's so cheap. And so that's what I would plan on. And then the big thing is to have an overhang over your windows, so when the sun is high, so if here's the window, here's the wall, here's the sun. The sun is beating in, and the heat is passively heating you. So you have to put an overhang over your windows that shades it in the summer, so the sun doesn't beat in, but in the winter it comes in. That's the main key to passive heating and cooling, is an overhang over the windows, keeps the sun out in the summer, lets the sun in the winter. So I build in an overhang over the windows that would be designed for that elevation, that latitude and elevation, so that happened. That's how you get passive heating and cooling into an underground home. You get the heat in during the summer, during the winter, you keep it out during the summer. So all those things are things you build into a passive solar home. And a container can be done, yes, as well, just as well, yes. They're cheaper. The thing about the school bus is they are designed to be rolled over on their top and not to crush. That's not true of a container. Containers are pretty flimsy. Depends on the kind of container you buy. School buses are so overbuilt. You can get them so cheap. They come with windows. I don't want to be in a cave. And I think of containers as caves. You're going to have to put in all those windows. Well, school bus comes with it. And if I have too many, I just insulate over them and cover them. And no big deal. So, the school bus seems like the answer to me. And I'm pretty sure that's what I will go with instead of a container.
When would you be doing that?
Well, I would do it as a project for the YouTube channel. That is really, people are interested in that, having a home base. And I don't think there's anything wrong with the nomad having a home base. So I might be doing that. That might be something I pursue doing for the channel, and so I'd have a home base. But not until I'm not able to be on the road. I wouldn't live in it until I was not able to be on the road. I think I've covered all these questions. Okay, so you want to put that back on me, probably. Put that back on me.
Oh, sorry.
Nana, am I back on?
Yes.
Are you seeing BLM being sold like we are seeing state forest land being sold? No, it's actually really hard. Fortunately, the question about Trump would sell off every ounce of public land if he could. Fortunately, there are real hoops set in place by law before you can sell or give away BLM or National Forest land. And so it's not an easy process. And every step along the way of that process of selling BLM or National Forest land require public input. And so BLM, no. BLM, there was the big thing with ears, with Bears Ears. That made a lot of public attention. And he was able to do that. No, I don't think you're seeing much National Forest or BLM land being given away or being sold yet. State land, yes, because the states, see, and this is the thing, people ask me about this. If you believe in states' rights, and I believe in states' rights, then shouldn't the state have the right to dispose of its land what it wants? No, because what you do on your land affects all the states around you. So if a state decides we need to make more money at all costs, we're going to eliminate all environmental and safety standards, and you start polluting the water and the air, well, that air flows on the next state below you and around you, and that polluted water goes to the next state below you and around you. So pollution laws have to be done at the federal level, because you can't contain the air to your state, can you? It goes everywhere. You can't contain the water in your state, can you? Because it flows out to the next state. That has to be done at the federal level. Now, there's a lot of state forest land that is state land, and they can sell it if they want. And that's determined at a state-by-state level. And so if your state is doing that, then it's up to you to organize and fight that, because I'm sure there still needs to be public input. And if you get enough people that care about the quality of your life and the quality of your air and your water and having public land for everyone to use in the state, then you have to organize, and that's where political action takes place at the state and local level, and is most powerful. You have the most power at the state and local level because there's a representative that lives near you, and you can literally go and knock on that representative door and say, don't give away our land. That's important to me, and I won't vote for you if you give away my land, and I won't vote for you if you destroy our air, clean air, and our clean water. If you want my vote, you have to take care of those things, and you knock on his door and tell him that. You can go to a town meeting and tell him that, and that's what we're seeing all over the country. People are saying, no, I want my health care, I want clean water, I want clean air. And we do, and we should demand it. And if your politicians aren't listening, you demand it from them. Now, maybe you don't care about clean air. You think it's more important that we keep our economy strong, and the economy is more important than clean air and clean water. That's your choice. If that's your choice, then that's absolutely your right, and I support you in your following through in your God-given constitutional rights. They aren't my opinions. I think clean air and clean water are more important than the economy. And I think we can have both. This idea that we can only have one or the other is nonsense. First off, because with the renewables coming into place, we're at the point now, this is an absolute fact, not open to dispute. We are at the point now we can convert to renewables. And in fact, we should be and were converting to renewables. And this idea that we have to stick with oil as long as we possibly can till we get every ounce of it out of the ground, or coal, it's nonsense. It's not scientifically true. It's a fallacy. Renewables are now replaceable. The fossil fuels are now replaceable by renewables. Mainly wind. We completely underestimate the power of wind. Yeah, every night the sun goes down. The wind blows through much of the country year-round, night and day, and storage is coming online. Renewables can replace it. It's just time that we had the courage to say we have to replace fossil fuels. We have to leave that oil in the ground and go to renewables. It's a scientific fact. Europe is doing it at amazing rates. China is doing it far faster than we are. They are the world leader in renewables because they know that it's the future, and they're not going to put their head in the sand. They also have to import all their oil and coal, so natural gas. So it's in every way to their advantage. It's equally in every way to our advantage. Every mountaintop that has been destroyed by coal needs to be covered with solar panels, and it needs to be covered with offshore and on the mountaintops. We need to have wind gens. We can completely replace fossil fuels. Not completely, that's not true. We can vastly, I'm running out of time, vastly replace fossil fuels. Okay, Mark Bennett, how to get documentation and license when you don't have a permanent mailing address. Mark, that's a huge question, and it will take me hours and hours to answer that. Let me just say I have a video on how to get your driver's license, how to get a mailing address, how to get a permanent address. And I would really just encourage you to go and watch those videos because I've laid it all out, and I think I've laid it out reasonably well. In fact, I just did a video posted a video from the RTR on how to choose a state. You have to have a permanent residence, and there are certain hoops now that because of the federal, what's the name of that? True ID. That's not it. I've forgotten what it is. I'm not going to think of it. My brain's too busy right now. But you can. It's easily done. Go and watch that video, and I'll explain everything. It's bottom line comes down to 7 minutes. The bottom line comes down, you get a mail forwarder, and you have to bring in, to almost in every state now, to get a true ID, true federal ID with the star and whatever they've changed the star to. You have to bring in proof that you're a resident. Now, I'm a Nevada resident, and I'm going to tell you what you have to do in Nevada, because I happen to know. In Nevada, you have to go there, and you have to rent a spot in an RV park for 1 month. Then you get a rent receipt. That's what they want. They want proof of residence. So you have to hire a mail forwarder. That is your mailing address. All your mail will go to her. You'll give that address to the state. The state will send all your drivers. You'll send your driver's license there. It will send your registration there, your license plates. It will send your renewal every year to the mail forwarder. And then you'll take this piece of paper, the rent receipt from the RV park. You'll take it to the DMV, and they will. You have to sign a document saying that you were an RVer, but that you were a resident of Nevada. And then you sign that document, you take in the rent receipt, and there you go. You can get a driver's license and become a resident of Nevada. South Dakota makes it even easier. In South Dakota, you have to have a mail forwarder, so you have a place that gets your mail, and they will forward it to you wherever you are, anywhere in the country or world. They will forward your mail to you. And when your driver's license is renewed, when your registration is renewed, they'll send all that stuff right to your mail forwarder, and your mail forwarder will send it to you. Then you only have to stay in South Dakota for 2 days. 2 days in an RV park, 2 days in a motel. You take in that rent receipt. You say, I'm an RVer. You'll sign an affidavit saying, I am an RVer, full-time RVer. Once I'm done, I will return to South Dakota, become a South Dakota resident. You sign that document, and you're a South Dakota resident. In Texas, you will use the Escapees Club, and they have a deal worked out, and I don't know the details of that deal. They have a deal worked out with the state of Texas. You jump through the hoops. The Escapees will tell you how to do it, and you become a member of Escapees. You get become a member of their mail forwarding service. Your new address will be in Livingston, Texas. I'm 90% sure it's Livingston, Texas. And you'll get a Texas driver's license to become a Texas resident. I think they have the same kind of deal going on in Florida, but I'm not 100% sure. My knowledge breaks down. Go and watch my video on all this. It's easily done. You just jump through the hoops. You jump through the hoops, so you get the job done. Do a little research. There's tons of information out there. I have it on my channel. How to do it in South Dakota, Nevada, Texas, Florida. Tennessee's another good state. Wyoming and we got about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
What does your mom think of your van life? Okay, that's good.
Okay.
That was from Minivan Mike and John Stewart. How long did it take to build out your van? It took me a month. I have all that recorded on a series, a van build series, and it took 1 month. I had a really good friend, Terry. Terry, if you watch this, I'm indebted to you for the rest of my life. Terry came with me and spent the whole month with me, and he's so much better than I am. And Terry, thank you so much. I will, for the rest of my life, be in your debt. I would have done it half-assed, and he did it really well. Thank you, Terry. If money were no object, what RV, van, or overland vehicle would you buy? Sportsmobile 4x4. That's simple. Chevy van with, or Quigley. I'd take a Chevy van of my own and get it converted by Quigley. What does your mom think of your van life? I don't think we have time to ask Mom.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Okay, what do you think of my van life, Mom?
I think you're happy.
You think I'm happy?
I think that's all the answer you need.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
If you're happy, that's good enough, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's weird and odd, but I'm
Yeah.
happy.
Yes.
Okay, that's a good answer. Okay, and so I think we've done enough questions. We'll go back to Dee's site again. You've done so well, superbly, supremely well in taking care of Dee. A little bit more. So go here and support Dee. Give $1. If all of you go give $1, and if you have more money, give 10, give 20. I gave generously. Go and give $1. That's all you got to do. If we all do that right now, she's going to do really, really well, and she's doing really well. And we'll prove again what a great community we are. GoFundMe, and you'll see it all there. Okay, I've got 1 minute. So thank you all. I hope I answered some of your questions. Thank you, Mom, for being in the show. Thank you, Brenda, for saying hi and sharing your house with me and with the community. And
Thank
there, I
you
think
for
you might be
being
on.
my
Is she
son.
on?
Yes.
So you can wave.
Okay.
Yay.
And thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for taking care of Mom so well. Wow. So everyone, thank you. 1 minute, and we're about done. So just let me thank you again that it's you watching the videos and writing comments and telling your friends. And some of you watch a video and go change your life. You go buy a van and move out and sell your house. And thank you so much. This is all for you, that we can all live our very best life and support each other, have a community, have a tribe. And I think we're about there.
Yeah.
So thanks again, each and every one of you, for everything you do. All of this revolves around you. One last thing, I'll tell you really quick. Go watch Carolyn's RV Life. She's in Alaska. She did this superb live video from Alaska. I just loved it. So go watch Carolyn's RV Life and subscribe to her channel as well. Okay, I'm going to quit now. That's it. And I will say goodbye, and we'll see you next week. Watch all the videos and live your very best life. Live the life of your dreams, whatever they are. And we'll talk to you later. Mom's clapping.